Good evening, you join us in the Marina Bay Street Circuit for round 3 of the Invictus F1 Performance League. With me as always is Malk, but you join us for a 23-turn 5.065 kilometre race or 3.147 miles of track length. Malk, my question to you is always, are you looking forward to tonight, and what is it that you're actually looking to see tonight as well?
Hello, Craig. I am very well, thank you. I hope you're okay and well. Regarding your question, I'm just going to look forward to seeing who can keep the momentum going throughout the whole race, because it's more like Monaco, isn't it? With the barriers and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. A street circuit, slightly with a difference. There is some bits that are at where we do have a little bit of runoff on the chicane section in sector 2. Um,
Oh!
and we have a wet qualifying, and that adds another spanner in the works for drivers that are possibly lacking that wet weather practice for tonight's race, Mark. And as always,
Oh,
we are waiting for the weather update from the pit lane. But this certainly throws everything up in the air, Mark. And
yeah.
I think most drivers would have been prepared for a dry qualifying, and we were really lucky enough last night in the No Assist League to have a dry
Too
quality, dry
lucky.
race. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's not heavy rain, so we will go with the intermediate tyres. But if that rain intensifies, we may see drivers going on to the full wets later on in the race. Um,
Um,
Mark, who would you say is the best in the rain?
the best in the rain. Oh, now you're asking me now. Um, I would have thought to Spud, because he always says to me every time he always struggles in the dry and he does very well in the wet. So I'm going to say to Spud to pull it out of the bag. I
Okay,
think,
okay.
especially in the William car. How about you, Craig?
Yeah, I think, Spud is a very good driver in the wet, but I think he's going to find it tough in the Williams car, which is notoriously difficult to drive in the wets. But I think the driver to watch out for is Betrayer. Down in the McLaren car, he did win last week in Brazil in the No Assist League, a very hard fought victory against Gamer, who we know is exceptionally quick. And Betrayer managed to get the race win in the Red Bull against Gamer in the Sauber. Totally different tonight with all drivers on the assist. He's got a little bit of traffic with the Boogster behind him in the Sauber, so I wonder if Betrayal looking to get out the way, and he does. So Betrayal allowing the Boogster to pass on the outlap, and it's going to
Mm,
be vital for drivers to remain aware here, Malk, that they do not
yeah.
impede another driver's qualifying run.
No, no, of course not, because you just do not want to cause any. You got to make sure you have a fair, obviously fair qualifying, fair driving, fair race, and that's all we ask. We don't ask for any more, do we, Craig? Honestly,
No,
we
certainly
don't.
not. We just look for some good competitive wheel-to-wheel action, and I think we've had that so far. Although we're only 2 races in, we've done very well so far to have that, and I don't expect we'll have any different from that so far. Looking at drivers in terms of battling it out already in the Drivers' Championship, Malk, who do you see as the early contender for the championship? Who is actually the favourite to go the distance and take the championship crown at the end of the season?
That is. Oh, you put me under a lot of pressure now, Craig. I damn you on that one. It's tough because you got some really good drivers on their day. They could pull away with it and stuff, but at the minute, I mean, obviously, Betrayer and the Bookster obviously tied up in first in the standings as before this tonight's race, so that'll be very interesting. But obviously, Sir Spud wants to try and boost his confidence back after he missed out on a few seasons ago. And I'll keep saying it every time. That was the season where he should have won it, but will it be his year? It's going to be tough, but I think I think the driver you have to watch out for mainly, obviously, with Tej, possibly Jake. Even though I said in the podcast before, Jake would struggle because he hadn't done much online league racing because obviously due to personal like uni and stuff. So that's why I was putting him, not saying putting him down that much, but I'm just saying like in how I would have expected after when you come back after a long time. Like if you was racing, Craig, for a long time, you took a break, and then all of a sudden you come back, how would you have felt? Would you have gone back normally, or would you have thought, like, struggled?
Well, I would have expected to be off the pace initially, Malk. And it would possibly maybe take me the one or two races, maybe even more, to actually get back into the swing of things. But I think that's what's really been surprising with Jake Warrior, that he's came back in an absolutely lightning fashion, taking P2 in the first race of the season, the Mexican Grand Prix. So he did a fantastic job there, and he's certainly still in the championship hunt. I think he's actually currently tied in third with Sir Spud, and that is going to be a cracking season-long battle. Both drivers are in quite similar cars tonight. Jake Warrior in the Force India with Sir Spud and the Williams, so both Mercedes-powered cars, and it'll be interesting to see who can actually come out on top with driver skill. And again, we're still waiting for an update from and MJ Cook, big slide in the Renault at the final corner, but managed to put it up in P3.
That's nice. Craig, I've just heard some weather from the weather crew. Do you want some good news or bad news?
I would love some good news.
What do you reckon it will be in the
I
race?
think it's going to be changeable conditions.
I believe not. It's going to be dry. It's going to be a dry race. I've been told. I don't know if it's going to be changeable, but I believe I've been told it's just a dry race completely. So
yeah, and that makes qualifying even more important because track position is key. The Bookster in the Sauber currently holding on to provisional pole with a 7/10 lead over Giuseppe driving for the Toro Rosso tonight. And Giuseppe will be looking to make up for the Brazilian Grand Prix disaster. Actually leading the Grand Prix at one point. It looked as if he was safe to secure that race win. But yes, the Torres takes provisional pole with a 3/10 lead, so great drive from the Torres in the Red Bull. Certainly the Red Bull chassis being used to the best advantage from the Torres, and that gets him to provisional pole. But what I was saying earlier on, Mark, Giuseppe will be ruining his chances last week. He was favourite for taking the race win, and he resulted in a crash on the pit exit. I believe it was actually his second pit stop, and that forced him to retire the car.
Yeah, I think he'll be kicking himself because I think, as you said, he could have. Would you have thought he would have comfortably won, or do you reckon it would have been close last week? I know it's tough now, but would you reckon?
It didn't look as if many were going to challenge him. He was certainly on the pace. And Jake Warrior, big slide out of turn 22 into 23, actually receives front wing damage, but we earlier saw Nitrogas running wide into the barrier and damaging the front wing as well. Just to answer your earlier question, Malk, about Giuseppe, I didn't see anybody being able to touch him last week. He was in a class of his own, and the only person that really took that win away from Giuseppe was himself. I don't think anybody would have got near him. Oh, Mike! Oh, disaster for Mike in the Haas. Coming out of turn 22, began to lose the back end. Tried to recover it. He's actually went into the wall at the pit entry. So that is a disaster for Mike and the Haas.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, he'll be kicking himself, Mike. I don't know what actually happened. He was just.
He was actually coming up the hill out of turn 22, and sorry, Mark, you're going to. Yes, so Sir Spud crashes out at sector 1 as well. So drivers really struggling with conditions at the moment, Mark, and I think they'll all be relieved to see that it's going to be a dry race.
Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, but the rain has stopped.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Mark. You are absolutely right. And with the cars coming around the track, we will see a dry line developing The question is, will we see it develop enough to actually go on to the soft tyres? Nick Thompson currently down in the garage in 12 has ultra soft fitted, but has yet to leave the track.
No, but I'm looking at Tedge's car, aka Tom's car, and the water's still splashing on the wheels, so it's still not.
Yeah, the track will still be wet, but with the cars coming round, it will develop that dry racing line, so we might be able to see drivers taking the Sebastian Vettel approach in the Canadian Grand Prix, where we saw him actually slide late on in the race with Jenson Button taking the win in the last lap. So the Bookster does have the ultras. He's still in the pits, 2 minutes 20 seconds remaining, and he's going to have to leave the garage soon if he wants to come back on track for another attempt. Looks as if he's actually decided against it and kept on the inters. But while we're talking about that, Tedgewaer gets himself up to third with the Force India, so putting himself in a strong position just behind the Bookster and Notorious with that Mercedes power unit in the Force India. So Tedgewaer looking very strong going into the race tonight.
Oh, definitely. I think with that boost last week of winning that Brazil, that is a fantastic achievement. Was it last week that he won?
Yeah, absolutely was, and he actually won a race on Friday evening as well, so he's certainly in top form, Tedgewaer, and he'll definitely be hoping to actually carry that ahead into the Performance League tonight for the Singapore Grand Prix and possibly putting himself into championship contention. Mark, the Bookster has come out on track on the ultra soft tyres, and also Nick Thompson in the Haas on the ultras. He's trying to get temperature into the front of the tyres as he allows Tedgewaer to pass.
Yeah, also Craig, also Nitrogash. Nitrogash is on the ultras as well.
Yeah, Nitrogash's teammate Notorious, but Nitrogash is notorious for just jumping up at the end of qualifying and taking pole. So Nitrogash currently in 9th with a 1:59.1, 2 seconds off the pace compared to teammate Notorious and the fellow Red Bull. Can he actually put it on pole?
Yeah, possibly. But let me hear that name again by this. They got Paul! They got Paul at the minute. Oh. Sorry, that was bad.
And the Bookster has retired on track, I believe. So, not a wise decision from the Bookster. It looks as if Notorious has done the same as well. So, disaster for Notorious as well, who was on pole position.
Wave's going to be... we have stopped the fans on the Crystal Maze on this time, but we've still got 3 minutes. Everyone's stopped. The qualifying has stopped, Craig. But can Wave Intel try and improve his time? He needs to improve by 8/10. Will he do it, Craig?
He's on a hot lap as he just comes through the former part of the chicane section across to Anderson Bridge. We'll certainly see sector 2 time as he comes through the left hand turn, that long run down to the end of sector 2. So he exits turn 13, I believe that is, running down towards the end of sector 2. He's down on his previous delta time by 2.1 seconds, so Wave Intel will not improve. MJ Coupe currently still out on a hot lap, sets a 31.6 in sector 2. It's all going to come down to sector 3 as he comes through that left-hander into the right, then the left again, approaching the stadium section as he comes up towards turn 18, I believe that is, underneath the stadium. A bit of sliding from the Renault as he comes through, and again, he slid it at the exit of turn 20.
Wave Intel's gone back to the pits. Sorry, Craig,
so MJ Coupe made contact with the barrier and effectively lost his front wing, and he will retire from the session as Wave Intel also retires from qualifying. And it looks as if Nick Thompson's actually out on track on the ultras. He puts it on pole. What a gamble from the Haas driver on the ultra soft tyres. Puts it on pole by almost 2 seconds, Mark. So it was the absolute perfect time to go out on the dry tyre.
Oh, fair play to him. That was a gamble and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah, he certainly risked it for a biscuit, and he's put himself in a very strong position going into the race.
Yeah, I need a cup of tea with that, Craig. Biscuit for a biscuit, that's it.
However, Mark, we may see an interesting development because Nick Thompson's qualified on the dry compound tyres, and we know it's going to be a dry race. He will be starting the race on those ultras, whereas Notorious, Wave Intel, Ted Joie, Giuseppe, Spud, Betrayer and MJ Coupe will all start on fresh dry tyres. The Bookster, although he was on ultras, I don't think he set his fastest lap on that ultra soft tyre. I think his fastest lap was also on the intermediates. So possibly going to be starting on fresh ultras. So although Nick Thompson is in the strongest position possible for qualifying, he may have actually compromised his race by starting on the ultra soft tyres.
Yeah,
but we do know degradation isn't too bad. It's not too bad for the race. But we will announce the final qualifications for qualifying. Classifications for qualifying. Nick Thompson in P1, Notorious in second. The Bookster takes third. Wave Intel fourth. Tedjoir fifth. Giuseppe sixth. Sir Spud 7th, Betrayer 8th, MJ Coupe is 9th, Nitrogash 10th, Jake Warrior 11th, Mike will start from 12th, Mike Lugby 13th, and Saab in the Ferrari will start at the back of the grid in 14th. So we might actually see some movement from Saab in the Ferrari at the back of the grid, starting on fresh tyres and certainly in a mighty car at the race start.
Yeah, it should be interesting on that one, Craig. I'll tell you what, it's going to be absolutely epic, I think, tonight.
And what will actually be really, most interesting for me, because all the top 10 drivers, top 9 of the 10 drivers could be starting on fresh dry tyres, that strategy could be key. Starting on fresh tyres, we can certainly see the one stop with the ultra softs going on to softs. But we do know that Betrayer last week took a risk with the ultras going on to super softs, I believe, or super softs onto soft in Brazil. So it was notorious for sticking with the one stop on the softest tyre strategy. So we do join the cars on the grid. We have 4 red lights, 5 red lights. We are go. So Nick Thompson round the outside, looking to stay ahead of the Red Bull going into turn 1. Has to go defensive against the Bookster. The Bookster goes round the outside of the Taurus and moves himself up to P2.
Oh! I just saw a little bit of wheel banging from Betrayer into Giuseppe.
And Wave Intel and Tedjoir having a battle. Tedjoir looks to have lost the back of the car, and he does. It looks as if there was contact between himself and I believe it was certainly a Toro Rosso. And Saab is DNF. He's actually ran into the back. I'm trying to catch the replay of the Tedjoir incident. It was Wave Intel in the Renault, and Tedjoir fighting on that run down towards turn 5, I believe that was, and Saab actually went straight into the back of I believe it was Jake Warrior in the Force India. So disaster for Saab and Tedjoir at this point in the race.
Yeah, I think I just saw there was some incidents going on left, right, and centre, Craig. It was just, I thought it was just ridiculous from what I've seen anyway. But I don't like to say it, but that was just, everyone was just going for it, weren't they? That's it.
Yeah, certainly nobody was holding back. They knew that track position was key in the Singapore Grand Prix and possibly risked it more than what we'd have expected normally. And Nick Thompson maintains lead. The Bookster moved up to P2 with Notorious losing out in the Red Bull, with the Bookster going round outside at turn 1.
He's definitely lost it there, but will Notorious try and catch up to Bookster? We'll have to wait and see. But I'm just watching MJ Coupe trying to close in on Giuseppe on here. But Giuseppe's going to the pits. I think he has got
Yeah, that
He's got
has
some
to be
front
front
damage.
wing damage because he's on the super soft tyres, so he was definitely going longer in the race, and that will drop him down to the
Oh!
back of the grid.
Oh! I'm sorry, Craig, I didn't mean to interrupt there again, but Mike and Sir Spud, two good mates, are off track. But on track, these guys are batting out like crazy. And there was side by side up to the first corner, Craig, and it was Mike's just beating that. And he's parking the bus again.
Yeah, there's a bit of a train developing behind Mike as well, Matt, with Spud, Nitrogas, Jake Warren, and Tedwar after early contact with the barrier. Tedwar certainly got damage on the left-hand side of his front wing, but he's staying out on track, looking to manage this as best as possible.
Do you think he should have pitted? Do you reckon?
It would depend on the severity of the front wing damage. If he's really struggling with understeer, he would be forced into it. But Tedwar looking to stay with this strategy so far, and possibly try to stretch out and going on the quicker tyres later on in the race.
Yeah, hopefully he'll try and catch up with the others, hopefully. But I'm still watching MJ Coupe and Betrayer. Now, Betrayer tied up in first in the standings, as we said earlier in the stream. But Betrayer holding on for fifth in the McLaren car, and he's doing a fantastic job. But MJ Coupe, considering he had some really good results with obviously the better cars and stuff, like with the Red Bulls and that. But that is fair play to him. He's trying to catch up to Betrayer, and he's catching him up like mad.
Yeah, looks as if though that MJ Coupe was losing the front of the car under dirty air. As MJ Coupe looked, I thought he might have had a little go into turn one, but he's being a little more cautious. He knows that DRS is going to become activated as we're now on lap 3, so MJ Coupe just biding his time as we come running down towards turn 5 on towards turn 6 in the first DRS activation zone, and the McLaren should really be a sitting duck here. So MJ Coupe, he's just too far back to make a move in towards turn 7.
Oh, he's trying everything he can here. But what's Jake? Jake? Oh, he's trying to close in on Nitrogas here. Oh, we have a 4-car battle here, Craig. 4 cars for 9th place. 9th place. The Red Bull car.
Yeah, and while we're focusing on the midfield battle, Notorious has closed down the Boogster. The gap down now to 0.4 of a second. So Notorious certainly looking for any opportunity to make a move on that Sauber.
Oh, he's trying everything he can, Craig. Everything he can. But this is a really good battle at the back. We get more action at the back of the grid than we are seeing at the front. And we can't do anything about it. Seeing more at the front, but it's just fantastic driving so far. I mean, at the minute now, but obviously, I don't know about your opinions, Craig, on the driving, but it looked like there was just like wheel banging, like you just don't know where to go, do you? Around,
Sorry to interrupt you there, Mark, but Notorious having a run down towards turn 1, trying to get alongside the Boogster, but the Boogster just closes the space off and goes defensive into turn 1 against Notorious. But running down towards turn 5, Notorious should get DRS on the run down towards turn 7.
Oh, Jake's just gone past Nitro, but Jake did go wide and he did cut a little bit of the corner, but I'm not sure if we're going to try and bring that position back.
MJ Coupe coming round the outside, the outside at turn 6 and the inside at turn 7, and should get that move done towards turn 8, but Betrayer trying to do the cutback, trying to look for any opportunity to retake P5 from MJ Coupe, but MJ Coupe actually has him covered off.
Oh, I don't know what. He did everything he can, MJ Coupe, but see how it goes. But I'm seeing Meg Lugpiece catching up on Nitro for 11th place, Craig. But this is interesting moments here, Craig, I think, because Singapore's a track where you've got to put your concentration 110, and I say this, 110%.
Oh! Meg Lugpiece misjudges the braking of Nitrogas ahead and runs into the back of the Red Bull. Not sure if he's got any damage. Yeah, he has. So he has received front wing damage on the left hand side of his Toro Rosso, and he's on the soft tyre, so he's definitely looking to go long in this race, and he could be forced into an earlier pit stop.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Oh no, just lost a bit of his front wing as well. He banged into the wall there, and he's just trying to hold on. But
yeah, and it's very strange to see drivers in lap 5 making contact with the barrier this early in the race. Usually we see that late on the race, as you were saying, Mark, about driver concentration. It has to stay paramount. And Singapore, like Monaco, is a track that can jump up and bite you if you lower your guard and lose concentration for even a moment. But Notorious must have had an issue earlier on, because he's lost out on third place to Wave Intel in the Renault.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, Craig, because we were watching too much at the back of the grid because we saw so many battles going on. But it could be Notorious had a mistake, for all we know.
Yeah, possibly making a mistake, and Wave Intel certainly taking the opportunity to move up into P3 and start to close down the Boogster, who's 4 seconds ahead. So at the moment we've got a gap between Nick and the Boogster of a 1.3 seconds. So Nick Thompson breaking DRS with Wave Intel 4.3 seconds behind the Boogster. Notorious drops back and actually beginning to drop off Wave Intel. The gap 1.8 seconds as Tejua receives a 3-second penalty for corner cutting.
Yeah. Do you agree with this track regarding the penalty situation on strict here? Do you think it's a bit harsh, or do you think it's fair?
I think it's very fair, because it can be quite tough to cut the corners in Singapore because there's really nowhere else to go. Certainly turn 1, 2 and 3 can be cut, and I certainly think that any cutting there can gain you a tremendous amount of time. And then we can look down towards turn 5, where you can actually cut it along the inside of the barrier, and believe, I'm just looking, I think it's turn 12 where you can actually straddle the curb as well and gain so much time. So I think Singapore appropriately awards corner cutting.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one, Craig, because I wasn't sure, because some drivers will say, oh, it's a bit harsh because you're trying to turn in too early. You don't want to get caught up with the penalty situation.
Well, therein lies the solution. If you turn in too early and cut the corner, you will receive a penalty. So it all comes down to actually approaching the corner at the appropriate speed and actually negotiating the corner appropriately. So Tejua does pit with that front wing damage going on the ultra soft tyre. Currently down in 12th, and he'll certainly have pace at this stage in the race. But the question is, drivers such as Jake Warrior, McLugpy and Giuseppe could possibly take the car to the end of the race.
Yeah, possibly, but we'll have to wait and see how they can do it. Because I tried the soft tyre yesterday, the no assist, and as you said before we started, the soft tyre was more, it's dead slow around here. I know it's the hardest tyre, obviously, but I had no other choice but to try and use the soft tyre as much as possible. But
yeah, I certainly think it's going to be damage limitation for Tejua at the moment. But with it being a street circuit, it's certainly not all over, because people can make mistakes, and you can certainly gain positions from that as well.
Yeah, they could gain so much positions there, but we'll have to wait and see how everyone does it. But
well, MJ Coupe is beginning to close down Notorious, so Notorious is in a Renault sandwich at the moment, pinned in between Wave Intel and MJ Coupe as we're on lap 7 of 31. So we could see MJ Coupe making a move on Notorious on that run down towards turn 7 with DRS assistance.
He could do, but it's too much back. Yeah, he's too far back.
Yeah, too far back, but he'll certainly close down as he runs wide at turn 7, Mark.
He definitely runs wide there, but he's trying to push the car as much as possible to try and close in on Notorious, but he can't do anything about it. He can't do anything about it on the long straight because he's trying everything he can on the Renault car. Yeah,
an MJ Coupe driver who does accumulate a fair amount of time penalties, so he's certainly going to have to be careful in Singapore Grand Prix. because those penalties can severely knock you down a few positions, Mark. And he's sitting comfortably at the moment behind Notorious for 4th place, and he's not losing too much time between P3 and 4, who are trying to actually have a little battle. So MJ Coupe just needs to possibly go and lean fuel, remain patient, not get caught up in the dirt air, not slide his tyres and ruin them, and allow Notorious and Wave Intel to battle it out ahead, and as you say, pick up the scraps.
Yeah, definitely pick up the scraps there. But would you risk it for a biscuit, like Bonzo moment, or do you think it's too early to say?
Lap 8 on lap 31, there's certainly a long way to go yet, and he could effectively overtake Wave Intel and Notorious with the undercut. So if he just tucks in behind, he could secure a podium position. It's just going to come down to how adventurous does MJ Coupe feel. If he feels that he's got much better pace and he's been held up by Notorious and Wave Intel, then it's certainly worth going for it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Oh, sorry. It looked like Notorious was trying to go the the outside of the car, but of the Flying Scotsman, of the Wave Intel, of the Renault car. But Notorious has got a good exit there.
Notorious getting a little bit more aggressive now. He's certainly feeling the pressure from MJ Coupe behind in the Renault, and he knows he has to get this move done. Otherwise, he could actually drop to P5 if MJ Coupe feels adventurous. Notorious locked up the brakes slightly. He's actually hit the barrier with the rear right-hand side of the car, and as he got suspension damage, MJ Coupe looking to go round the outside of turn 14. So MJ Coupe moves around the outside at turn 14, and certainly Notorious lost out on attacking Wave Intel to MJ Coupe, who, as we said earlier on, was just looking to pick up the scraps. So MJ Coupe proves that patience does pay off.
What's that old saying, Craig? Patience is a virtue?
Absolutely is, and it certainly paid off. Looks as if Wave Intel pits from the Ultras. That's a very early pit stop after starting on the Ultras, as MJ Coupe goes deep in turn 1, tries to avoid contact with Notorious at turn 2. Notorious certainly gave him enough room to rejoin the track.
Yeah, he tried to do everything he can there, but MJ Coupe went wide before the start finishing line, Craig. Hence why Notorious got him on, and he had a better exit than that. But Notorious is on the inside, to the bed.
Wheel round turn 7. Notorious getting the elbows, and it's definitely worthy of Notorious. It's definitely worthy. You're a bit late now, Mark. I think you've missed the moment.
No. There you go.
Absolutely Notorious move round the outside at turn 7. Inside at turn 7. Getting the elbows out on MJ Coupe, forcing him a little bit wide, and certainly taking control of the racetrack. But I just want to make a quick comment to Wave Intel on the supers, possibly feeling that his tyres were beginning to go off, not wanting to get caught up in a battle between himself and Notorious and MJ Coupe, and possibly going for the undercut to open up a little bit of gap when MJ Coupe and Notorious come in for their first pit stop.
Yeah, but that'll be good. Oh, the Bookster closing in on Nick, sorry.
Yeah, all over the back of Nick Thompson as we come round turn 22 and 23. The Bookster will have DRS on that run down towards turn 1. But Nick Thompson, the Haas, looks to have the stronger straight line speed. But the Bookster will be looking to possibly do this under a heavy braking zone at turn 7.
Will Nick hold on for first here? Will he hold on? Because Bookster is trying everything he can in the Sauber car, and fair play to him again. He's driving magnificent in the Sauber car.
Yeah, but I think the Haas has the straight line speed over the Sauber. So for the Bookster to actually get into P1, he's going to have to possibly try something risky or something strategic.
Yeah, Nick Haas it on that one. It didn't work out with that joke.
It didn't work out.
Sorry. I'll retire. That's it. I'll stop now.
Mike beginning to close down Betrayer for the battle for P4 at the moment. So Mike in the Haas looking to put Betrayer under a little bit of pressure on lap 10 of 31.
It's tough, isn't it, Craig? Because you need to have that concentration spot on, don't you? And going around here, it's not Monaco all over again, because you don't want to hit the barriers too much, and you don't want to caught up with anyone like at the back or the front. You just want to try and get your race done, get it done and dusted, and without any issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually speaking to Formula 2 no assist driver Jamie the other evening there during our practice, and he was actually saying that to really chase down that race win in Singapore and Monaco, you really have to risk it. You really have to push the car. But it's going to come down to risk versus reward as always.
Oh, of course. I would agree with Jamie on that one, to be fair, Craig. I mean, the way that you get that win, and you get that perfect win as well, and pushing it and stuff, you just absolutely spot on from there, and fair play for that. But I'm just seeing if there's any shots.
Well, Nick Thompson just coming back out on track from P1, dropping down to P7. He's actually went for the super soft tyres. Interesting choice. So Nick Thompson definitely going for the two-stop strategy. Whereas Mike, who's moved up to P4, starting on the super softs, could go with the one-stop strategy, and he's continuing to put pressure on McLaren driver Betrayer, now sitting in third place.
Yeah, Betrayer's tyres will be thinking, what do I need to do to hold on? Because isn't the Ultras last about 12
Yeah, I think the pit window will be between lap 12, lap 14 for those that have started on the Ultras. For Mike on the Super Sauce, I think we're talking round about lap 18, lap 19. So certainly the Super Sauce more durable, as we know, and Mike will have the better grip on the tyres at the moment, and this is possibly why we're seeing Mike actually putting the pressure on Betrayer in the McLaren at the moment. So Betrayer I don't think he will want to stay in this ultra soft tyre for too much longer, but we do know Betrayer is notorious for doing the one-stop strategy, and he certainly went long in the Brazilian Grand Prix last week, and possibly seeing something very similar tonight.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see that.
And disaster for MJ Coupe, who was actually running a good race, has a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So disaster for MJ Coupe in the Renault.
Disaster. Bad Coupe on that. But Notorious, I'm not going to play the music. Notorious got the fastest lap of 143.1, Craig.
Oh, and absolutely critical for the Boogster under pit stop conditions. Comes back out on track ahead of Nick Thompson. Oh. Nick Thompson all over the back of the Boogster, running down towards turn 6 and DRS zone 1. So Boogster goes wide on the outside, trying to make Nick Thompson go round the outside. Nick Thompson goes deep at turn 7. The Boogster controls the racetrack, so great defending from the Boogster in the Sauber at the moment against a very quick Haas car on super soft tyres. So both drivers on the same strategy, but the Boogster doing a great job defending from Nick in the Haas behind.
That is absolutely fantastic racing there, Craig.
And we've got a Renault battle going on at the moment for P8 and P9 between MJ Coupe and Wave Intel as well, Mark.
Oh, which Renault car will keep in front first? At the moment it's Coupe at the moment in 8th place, and Wave Intel, the Flying Scotsman, in 9th place. And don't worry, you are the first Scotsman there, Craig, always. I'll call Wave Intel the Flying Scotsman, because I remembered I felt bad last time when I said he is the Flying, but you're always the first Scotsman. That's all I'm going to say. And we have a good banter.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Craig. I'll give you
So Nick Thompson, the Boogster, just coming round turn 20, turn 21, up towards turn 22, 23, and on to the second DRS straight. The Bookster goes defensive very early, but Nick Thompson too far back in the Haas. So the Bookster trying to break the toe. But the Haas of Nick Thompson too far back to make a move into turn 1. As we run down towards turn 5, Nick Thompson will get a second bite of the DRS cherry, but struggling to get that Haas turned in under the dirty air of the Sauber ahead.
Yeah, while you're watching that, Craig, I'm seeing Tom against Giuseppe coming up to passing the first corner, or past the first few corners, coming up to the first DRS straight now. McLubbis got the fastest lap of 142.8, Craig. So, will Tetuan Cohen pass Giuseppe? He's got the Force India with the Mercedes powered car and he should breeze. And Giuseppe's had to drop down to 11th to hold on there. And Tetuan bulleting. I'll try with that Ferrari Force India car. I'm losing the plot here. Couldn't produce the pink or red car now.
Jake Warrior beginning to put pressure on Sir Spud as well for third place, currently sitting behind him by 0.8 of a second. Jake Warrior on the soft tyre looking to possibly go to the end of the race with Sir Spud starting on the supers, but Mike continuing to close down Betrayer for the race lead. After a disaster in qualifying, Mike is certainly sitting in a strong position at the moment. On lap 13 is the Bookster, and Nick Thompson continuing this battle coming out of turn 21. Can Nick Thompson get closer to the Sauber ahead out of turn 23 with DRS and get the move, or at least alongside enough into turn 1? He's still too far back.
I don't know if we've lost the slipstream because
I think we may have, because of Saab leaving the session. But what's critical for the battle between the Bookster and Nick Thompson is that we've got Sir Spud and Jake Warrior battling ahead, and this could actually neutralise the DRS for Nick Thompson if the Bookster can actually hold on to the back of Jake Warrior.
Yeah, he'll try and do everything he can, but the Bookster's trying to defend. Oh, it looked like
it takes a narrower line into turn 8, and that compromised his exit out of turn 8, allowing Nick Thompson to close him down into turn 9.
It was like, come on, you can do it. Oh.
And we've also got Notorious beginning to close down the battle between the Bookster and Nick Thompson, so we could see a 5-way battle for third place, Mark.
Can we have a 5-car, five in the bed, please, in Singapore, and I'll stop. I was expecting 4.
And Sir Spud and Jake Warrior beginning to close down Mike and Betrayer now. So Betrayer beginning to hold up all these cars. So we could possibly see a 7-way battle or a 7-car train in the next few laps. So I think Betrayer could be feeling the pressure, and we might see Betrayer coming into the pit stop.
Yeah,
and it does, followed by Mike and Sir Spud as well. So the top 3 drivers all coming into the pits at the same time. But Nick Thompson on the back of the Sauber, who's getting DRS from Jake Warrior in the Force Indian P1 on soft tyres. So Nick Thompson, if ever was an opportunity to get the move done, he has to get it done now.
He has to do it now, but Bookster's doing everything he can to try and get past him. Oh, he lost it with Jake's car. This should give an opportunity for
Nick Thompson has to get this done, and pardon me for the pun, but he has to get this done. The Bookster parks the car in the middle of the track, squeezes Nick Thompson on the inside of Notorious, goes round the outside at turn 7. It is a double overtake from Notorious around turn 7.
Oh, what a move!
How about that, everyone?
Oh, you know what? I am going to get that song out now, and I'm going to say this again. Oh, fair play to him. Oh.
Well, after that pit stops are Spud all over the back of the McLaren of Betrayer. Betrayer and Sir Spud battling it out for P9 and 10. Mike, after that pit stop, came out in 12th, currently sitting behind McLugby on the ultra soft tyres.
Oh my god. Where have we seen 7 cars battling out for first?
No idea, but 2 seconds separate the top 4 drivers. So Jake Warrior, looking to go to the end of the race on the soft tyre, Notorious, will have to pit again from P2 on the Ultras. The Boogster possibly, if he can't look after those super softs, will need to also pit again. So the only driver not really requiring a pit stop is Jake Warrior, who is leading this race.
Craig, I'm sorry to say this, but Jake does need to pit. He hasn't pitted
yet. Goodness, right, so apologies for that misinformation. I thought that was an absolute strategic masterclass from Jake Warrior. So that will possibly drop him down to 10th place, coming out behind Sir Spud. And we should see a 3-car battle for the race lead once Jake Warrior pits. I'm possibly expecting Jake Warrior to pit round about lap 20, 21. So the question is, will we see Notorious, the Boogster Nick Thompson, try and take the race lead from Jake Warrior before his pit stop and use him as a buffer to the rivals behind?
Possibly, because don't get me wrong, Notorious has to pit again. He can't last the Ultra Softs to the end. He's got to pit again for the Supers. Boogster, he might go for the Ultras at the end. Same with Nick.
Well, Notorious having a little look on the inside of Jake Warriors. We're just coming down to the end of Sector 2, turn 14. So we're coming through the part of the circuit where the ultra soft tyres will be mighty, and Jake Warrior will be really struggling with mechanical grip through these really slow corners, and the Taurus is really right on the gearbox of that force in there.
Yeah, but the Boogster's trying to close in on Notorious now, and Notorious is trying everything he can to catch up to Jake, but the slipstream has not reached now.
Yeah, Jake Warrior cut turn 2, and he had to lift to rejoin the track. That's allowing the Taurus to come right on the inside, but it's a drag race down towards turn 5. And the Taurus comes out of turn 5 in the lead, followed by the Boogster. So the Boogster also got past Jake Warrior. Nick Thompson really missed out on that. So Nick Thompson was the driver that goes deep, almost runs into the back of the force in there. So Nick Thompson was the driver that lost out from Jake Warrior's mistake there.
Yeah, he missed out there, but hopefully he'll try and bounce back as quickly as possible, Craig.
Meg Lugby all over the back of Sir Spud as well, Mark, down at P10 and 11.
Just watching that now, Craig. Will Meg Lugby try and get past the Spud? Not enough. Unless the Spud makes a mistake, which I doubt it with the Williams' Mercedes-powered car, with the Toro Rosso's Red Bull gives them wings type. Toro Rosso, I think it's the Ferrari car, isn't it? Yeah, Ferrari, yeah. But it's just McLuhan is trying everything he can to try and get past the Spud, but it's just got nothing. It looked like the Spud was nearly lost the car there a little bit, but hopefully he'll try and get there as quickly as possible on that. But I just want to say good evening to the guys who have commented on my stream. I'm sorry I haven't mentioned your comments. It's just my phone's not picking it up. So if you have sent some comments, just send it again and I'll have a look again. But it's a bit close, Craig, don't you think?
It certainly is. And what's vital for Nick Thompson's race winning credentials tonight, or hopes, is that he really has to get past Jake Warrior as soon as he can. He's losing a lot of time to Notorious and the Boogster ahead.
Yeah, this is not good for Nick, absolutely not good, but will they try and get past Jake? He's got 4 tenths into him now, but I'm still watching Meg Lugby trying to catch up to Spud.
Yeah, and Mike is all over the back of the gearbox of the Toro Rosso as well. So McLugby's looking ahead, and he really needs to start looking behind as well.
Yeah, don't you think? Who's impressed you? Who's impressed you the most, though, Craig? Overall,
Certainly the Bigster and the Sauber is always very impressive, but you certainly cannot discount that double overtake from the Torres round turn 7.
Yeah, I was just saying the Bookster, fair play to him, that was really good off him, he's a good driver. But Nick has just overtaken Jake, and he's done really well there, Craig. So I'll just wait and see how the other drivers are going now. But MJ Cooper and Jake are trying to close in on Nick Thompson now.
Yeah, MJ Cooper looking to get the jump on Jake Warrior, Mark, so that is vital for a podium position. And he'll be looking to get on the back of Nick Thompson after Jake Warrior pits as well.
Yeah, Jake has pitted now, Craig. Jake has pitted, but MJ Cooper's got a good run in. Also, Spud's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I'm not sure what happened there, but... MJ Cooper's got a bit of a good boost there. But where's McLuppy? McLuppy's trying to close in on Spud. Oh my god, this is going to be intense moments here. Will we see some good action going on? But McLuppy's going drifting like... I don't know. So, Nick, MJ Cooper's lost out. MJ Cooper has pulled into podium position, Craig. LJ Thompson has dropped down to 4th now. This is absolutely vital stuff. I'm not sure what happened to Nick, but he lost out completely, Craig, from MJ Cooper, who's closing in on him quickly. But watching it from the others now, watching Meg Lumpy and Mike, see how they get on and stuff. How are you getting on, Craig?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just get disrupted from my kids coming down for a snack, so apologies for the interruption. What is crucial though, Jake Warrior out on track in P11 on the super soft tyres, likely to take these to the end of the race, so Jake Warrior could possibly, aye, that's a good one, possibly put Mike McLugpet and Sir Spud under pressure. So Jake Warrior in the Force India on super soft tyres can certainly put himself back up into a competitive position.
Fair play, Craig. Sorry. Sorry. He sounds like James Bond with like octopus.
Octopus.
Yes. Shaken, not stirred on that one, sunshine.
So Notorious does make his second pit stop. Currently down in 4th, Nick Thompson moves up to 3rd, looking to chase down MJ Coop in the Renault ahead in P2, who will still serve a 5-second stop-go penalty if he comes back in for a second pit stop. But the Bookster, absolutely fantastic drive from the Sauber driver, out on track in the lead with a 3.9 second gap over MJ Coop in second.
Oh, fair. He has been magnificent. He has been magnificent tonight. I know, if he keeps going like that, I think he'll be my driver of the day again. He's just been absolutely immense. He stuck out. He's just going on with his job, and he's just doing it well. And he's only lap 20 or 31, so I know anything can happen, like what happened with last week with Giuseppe.
And Jake Warrior gets himself up to 9th on those fresh super softs, looking to put pressure on Renault driver Wave Intel as we come towards turn 8 on lap 20 of lap 31. So Jake Warrior still on the hunt for a strong position and absolutely vital points for his championship bid.
Oh, he's doing absolutely magnificent. He's trying everything he can to get more points for Jake, obviously, to get more points for that constructors as well as his drivers stuff.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Jake Warrior and Spud are actually communicating on team radio, being teammates, of course. Wondering if Jake Warrior's asking Sir Spud to hold up the cars behind to make it easy pickings for him and possibly allowing him to pass. Sir Spud on the soft tyres, but Jake Warrior on super soft tyres and going strong.
Yeah, I will say this now, Craig. Spud is a fantastic defender. He did that.
Oh, Wave and tail, cheeky as you like, on the exit of turn 21, I believe that went right round the inside.
Jake! Oh, beauty!
Yeah, up the inside and Mike at turn 1. So Jake certainly getting elbows out and getting a shift on, trying to chase down Wave and Tail, who tried a very audacious move on Mike.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. No wonder I call him the Flying Scotsman on there. He just like flying out there, unbelievable. And obviously he's Scottish as well, but yeah, he's a Flying Scotsman. That's why I called him on that one. So it's just absolutely magnificent. I mean, that is an epic move, an absolutely epic move from Wave and Tail. But as I was saying earlier, Craig, about Sir Spud, if you tell him to defend, he does it well for his team. He's a great teammate, and he does really well to get those decent points for constructors. And if you tell him to hold on, he will hold on for dear life. Because I remember he did that, and he's defending really well here. As long as the Spud holds on, which he is, Wave and Tail will not know what to do. Jake's behind. Wave and Tail. Jake is behind Wave and Tail. So that'll be interesting, Craig.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wave and Tail, although he's on the quicker tyre at the moment, it certainly will go off a lot quicker than that super soft. So over the course of the race, Jake Warrior might actually be in the strongest position with the super soft tyre, but he's certainly got the quicker car with the Mercedes power unit. Yeah. So Jake Warrior Wave and Tail looks to have a cheeky little move round the outside of the Williams of Sir Spud on that run down towards turn 1, and I don't think Sir Spud will fight Jake Warrior too much on the exit of turn 3. He'll allow his teammate, I would expect him to allow his teammate to pass and chase down the Renault of Wave and Tail.
I don't know, but I don't know if he's got enough to let him pass, because obviously Mike's behind with a few by a second, obviously, but he doesn't want to lose that too much.
Yeah, so Sir Spud's certainly not making way at the moment for Jake Warrior. And this could allow Wave and Tail to begin to open up the gap between himself and Jake Warrior in the Force India.
Yeah, this obviously, I don't know if Sir Spud will let him through. Yes,
and he does so. Sir Spud moves across. And tries a little cheeky squeeze at the same time. I don't think that was very comfortable for Jake Warrior in the cockpit of that Force India.
How would you feel?
Absolutely bricking it. I think my bum would have been clenching that seat.
Yeah, sorry. I'm having a laughing moment here. It's just I would be in the same position, Craig, on that one.
Yeah, I think Sir Spud allowed Jake to pass there because he knew that Mike wasn't really in a position towards the chicane to affect an overtaking move. So certainly a strategic call between Jake Warrior and Spud where to actually allow that pass to happen. And this frees up Jake Warrior to chase down Wave and Tail for P6. The gap currently at 1.4 seconds as we come around turn 2. Jake Warrior had to lift because the Force India was beginning to slide at the rear there. So Jake Warrior trying to actually get the Force India to actually what's the word? to cooperate. That was a word. Yeah, no. So certainly the Force India not cooperating with Jake Warrior as he put the power down at the exit of 22.
You could have said not agreeing on that one.
Not agreeing.
Well, corporate would be a lot better, so I'll stop what I'm saying on that one. Not agreeing on that. But what do you think, if he was in this position now, Craig, what do you think the guys who are on the Super Softs, do you reckon they'll last till the end of the race, or do you think they'll need to pit for the Ultras?
It all really comes down to when they actually pitted for those Super Softs. So Jake Warrior certainly pitted later than Wave and Tail, and I expect Wave and Tail to possibly require another pit stop. And that would just allow Jake Warrior to begin to chase down Betrayer. But out of Betrayer and Jake Warrior, I think Jake Warrior pitted later for the Super Softs. He's certainly in the quicker tyre and he will be on the fresher rubber. So I think the Boogster, if he's strong at managing his tyres, can just manage the gap between himself and Nick Thompson. Although MJ Coupe is currently sitting in P2, he still has to serve a 5-second stop-go penalty, and he's actually accumulated 6 seconds in corner-cutting penalties, so he's effectively ruled him out, or himself out of P2. So he just really needs to manage the gap between himself and Nick Thompson, who's almost 10 seconds behind.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know what he's going to do now, whether the Bookster will try and gamble and go in the Ultras or keep in the Super Soft, but I know the Ultras lasted about 12 to 14, so you reckon about 14 to 16 laps?
I reckon possibly about 18, 19 laps, possibly a little bit less for the Supers. But although the Bookster was fighting a little bit earlier in the race, he's in clean air, he's not fighting anyone at the moment, he can go into fuel managing and he can tyre manage as well. So the Bookster just really needs to control this race.
Yeah, he just does everything he can, Craig, but you never know what to expect. It's like a game of football. All it takes is a few seconds to get from one end to another, but in this, anything can happen on the next 8 laps or so, Craig. But I tell you what, this is going to be an epic close battle here coming up forward. But I reckon, by the looks of it, if they had to pit, they had to pit now to put the Ultras in. But it's very risky for the Super Soft tyre. If you are just watching, guys, you've missed a cracker of a start. You've seen some good overtakes, and you're missing some classic music from the number one of, well, not number one now, but he's in 4th place of Notorious on that one with his own music on that one. But from now on, we have to wait and see how the guys are battling out on there. But how you doing, Craig?
Yeah, okay, but as you were saying earlier on, Mark, if the guys are going to pit, they're going to have to pit now. I think it's actually too late in the race to make a pit stop. We've got 6 laps remaining. I think it is unlikely that we will see any more pit stops unless it is absolutely vital. And I think Wave Intel could possibly be one of those drivers that is on the limit.
Yeah, I bet he's thinking, why did I do that? Why did I do that? But you never know until the fat lady sings on that one. But we've got one coming in from McLaughlin for try and get into the 11th place of Giuseppe. Giuseppe goes halfway in the defensive, but he's holding on there. But he will try and do everything he can. But Giuseppe's going on. Oh, it looked like he was going on the inside just, and he has hold on there, Craig.
Yeah, Giuseppe looked to have ran a little bit wide from turn 7, possibly a bit of understeer. So as Giuseppe's tyres beginning to go off, certainly McLaughlin looks quicker at this point in the race, and he's looking to put pressure on fellow Toro Rosso driver Giuseppe as we come across the Anderson Bridge, coming through turn 13, that long run down towards turn 14 at the end of sector 1. Certainly we've lost the DRS and we shouldn't see a move into turn 14, but can McLaughlin stay close enough to the Toro Rosso of Giuseppe in order to try and make a DRS move?
It's going to be very tough there, Craig, I think, but should have that running there, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But McLaughlin has got within 4/10, so he will get at least a boost there. But correct me if I'm wrong, I think he has got a 3-second time penalty, I think, McLaughlin. I might be wrong, but I'm sure he had a 3-second time penalty earlier on in the race.
Yeah, and although with DRS he still can't close Giuseppe down enough for turn 1. Runs a little bit deep out of turn 1, that compromises his entry into turn 2, and he won't be able to carry as much pace towards turn 2 and 3, and that allows Giuseppe to open up that gap a little bit more. But Wave Intel, while we've been talking, has actually closed down Betrayer. The gap 6/10 of a second, so Betrayer could possibly be coming under pressure from Renault driver Wave Intel. And what is absolutely vital here is Wave Intel has to get this move done as quick as possible, because he knows Jake Warrior is only 2 seconds behind, and it won't be long before he closes down that gap even more.
Yeah, it's like that Jaws music theme. Da 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 da. It's catching. That's it. You never know what's coming up next. But Waving Tail, I don't know whether he's made a good move or a bad move on the ultras at this stage of the race, but I don't know. It's going to be tough, but he's going to have to watch out for Jake, as you said earlier on, Craig.
Well, he's still looking very quick at the moment, Matt, when you compare his pace to Betrayer ahead on the Super Soft. So possibly the Ultra's more durable than we expected on the Renault?
Possibly, but it's going to be tough, I think. But we only got 5 laps left, I think. 5 laps, yeah.
4 or 5 laps remaining of the race. Bigster still holding on to a 6.1 second gap. Yeah, Betrayer going defensive, trying to squeeze Waving Tail, and the side drivers going wheel to wheel towards turn 7. Betrayer should have the inside line for turn 8, trying to hold off Waving Tail to that turn in as we approach that tricky little turn 9 with the raised curb and running down towards the chicane at turns 10 and 11. So Betrayer defending very well in the McLaren under DRS pressure from Waving Tail in the Renault. Oh, Waving Tail goes slightly deep in the chicane as we cross the Anderson Bridge, turning into turn 13. That long run down towards turn 14. We've lost the slipstream, of course, and that allows Betrayer to protect P5 down towards turn 14. But can Waving Tail get on the gearbox of Betrayer on the exit of turn 23 with DRS? Can he get alongside on the inside at turn 1?
Just wait and see. But while you was watching that, Craig, there was a two overtake moments. Tej passing Mike for 9th place, and McLumpy moved up to 11th from 12th place, Craig.
Notorious is right all over the back of the Haas of Nick Thompson, 3/10 behind. Could we see a change in 3rd place at the moment as Waving Tail continues to chase down Betrayer towards turn 1? Notorious all over the back of Nick Thompson, the run down towards turn 7 and DRS zone 1. Can Notorious in the Red Bull make a move? And Nick Thompson has looks to go round the outside. Can only see a cut back at turn 7. Nick Thompson covers off the racing line, forcing Notorious wide. So Notorious can't get a move done yet on the Haas of Nick Thompson.
Oh my god, Waving Tail's trying to close in on Betrayer now. But quick question for you, Craig. Do you reckon Notorious will get Nick for 3rd place?
Looking at the pace between the Haas and the Red Bull, I think it's only a matter of time. 3 laps to defend against a very quick car is certainly no easy task. And we've seen some exceptional overtaking moves from Notorious already this race, and we might actually see Notorious secure that final podium spot.
Yeah, well, you reckon Notorious will get the final podium?
I do. I certainly do.
Fair dues. If you got any comments, questions or anything like that before the end of the race, please write in. We'll try and do it as quickly as possible. But there will be interviews with the drivers at the end?
Yeah, we're certainly hoping to have the podium interviews at the end of the race. But also, with 2 laps remaining, please send us your comments who you feel is today's driver of the day.
Yeah, you was going to say voting, weren't you, Craig?
Yeah, we don't have a system. Just post your comments about who you feel is a driver of the day. So Waving Tail, 4/10 behind Betrayer, 2/10 at the start-finish line. He's got a good run on Betrayer in towards turn 1. He's still too far behind, so Waving Tail possibly looking for another attempt up towards turn 7.
Oh my god, Notorious is going to try and close in on Nick. Oh.
Yeah, Nick's going to try and squeeze him round the inside. Notorious is going to have to try and squeeze back. So Notorious does squeeze Nick Thompson and getting those elbows out again. So good overtake from Notorious.
And while we was watching that, Craig, Waving Tail just went past Betrayer, I think.
Yeah, under DRS conditions, Waving Tail moves up to P5, dropping Betrayer down to P6 with Jake Warrior 8/10 behind Betrayer for P7.
Do you reckon Jake will get 6? Or do you
I think it's going to be a tough challenge He's certainly running out of time, and he's certainly running out of opportunities. And if Betrayer can hold on to the back of Wave Intel, he's going to neutralise the DRS from Jake Warrior behind.
Yeah,
so it's going to be a very, very big challenge for Jake Warrior to move up to P6, and it's certainly been a good performance from Betrayer, who's defended very well so far in that McLaren.
Yeah, he's doing absolutely fantastically well on that one. Fantastically. Never heard of that before, but fantastically well. I can't stop saying it now, but absolutely fantastic. And I'll shut up now on that one. But will Betrayer try and catch up to Wade's? Yeah, 2 laps left of the Singapore Grand Prix of the Performance League of the Invictus Racing Leagues. Who's been your driver so far, Craig? I know there's 2 laps left, but who's been your driver?
It's got to be the Bigster in the Sauber. He's pushed when he had to, and he's just held position when he had to as well. So a very strategic strategic drive from the Bigster, and it was absolutely crucial that he got out ahead of Nick Thompson on the pit stops, and that was an absolutely fantastic call down at Sauber.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic on that. But I would agree with you on that one, Craig, because he's driven a magnificent race. As I said earlier, he got down, he just did his race, and that's it. He just did not want to mess about, and he's done a fantastic job all around.
Well, Jake Warrior still behind Betrayer for 6th and 7th. Looks as if Jake Warrior's struggling with the dirty air from the McLaren. He can't get any closer to Betrayer, and it's absolutely vital that he does if he's going to make any overtaking attempt on the final lap of the race. So Jake Warrior might have to take more risks than what he feels comfortable doing if he has to take P6 from Betrayer.
It's going to be tough. I think Betrayer will hold on for 6 now, unless he makes a massive mistake, which I haven't seen, considering he'd driven a good race in, driven a nice race in no assist last night in Singapore. So at the minute, this is going to be absolutely intense moments on the final lap. Craig, the
Bigster gets us on the final lap, followed by MJ Coupe, Notorious, Nick Thompson, Wave Intel, Betrayer and Jake Warrior. So those drivers on the final lap. Jake Warrior running out of time, running out of chances to take P6 from Betrayer. He's too far back in the first DRS zone. Although he's got mysterious power, he cannot close down Betrayer enough to get a move done into turn 7. So Betrayer just has to defend for another 2 sectors, and the second sector is very difficult to overtake on. So Betrayer might allow himself to relax slightly, as he knows that it's almost impossible for Jake Warrior to make a move until we get on that run down towards turn 14.
He'll do everything he can, Betrayer, aka Jim. We've known him for many years now, and he's a fantastic driver. He defends, and it's mostly experience. That's how I say it. He's an experienced driver for many years.
Well, the Bugster already celebrating before he gets to turn 22 and 23, and why not? Fantastic. An absolutely fantastic drive from the Bugster from Sauber. MJ Coupe comes round the final 2 corners, and it'll be interesting to see where he drops in regards to penalties. Notorious does move up to P2. Nick Thompson currently in P4 as he rounds the final corner. Stays P4, so MJ Coupe remains in P3, but we will have to investigate whether that stop-go penalty does get applied. Wave Intel brings the car home in 5th, with Betrayer remaining ahead of Jake Warrior, who finishes in P7. Tejwar, after an early incident and penalties, actually drops to 10th, with Mike and Sir Spud jumping ahead of him, P8 and P9. Giuseppe, a difficult race for him in P11, with McLugpy finishing in 12th. And Nitrogash will bring the car home to take 13th place in the Singapore Grand Prix. So an absolutely fantastic race from start to finish, witnessing some spectacular overtaking moves, Malk, if we can get the top 3 drivers into the commentary box for the podium interviews.
Yes, I will show you that now. I'm just watching, obviously, the podium celebrations and stuff. But again, I know I keep saying it, but fair play to the Bookster, who's just absolutely driven a magnificent race. Notorious as well, second, and then you've got MJ Coupe just misses out second by a tenth.
Yeah, so literally by the skin of his teeth he secures that third podium spot, but certainly we will need to investigate after the race to see if that stop-go penalty applies. So your provisional classifications for the Singapore Grand Prix are your race winner, the Bookster, followed by Notorious in the Red Bull for second place, MJ Coupe, as we mentioned, in P3. Nick Thompson takes fourth with Intel. Now Renault will take fifth. Betrayer and McLaren takes seventh. In sixth. Jake Warrior in seventh. Eighth is Mike. Ninth is Sir Spud. 10th is Tejuar after penalties were applied. Giuseppe just outside the points in 11th. McLugby brings the car home in 12th, and the Nitrogash takes 13th, with Saab retiring from the race on lap 1 after running into the back of one of the Force Indies. So as we wait for the drivers to join us in the commentary box, we will look forward to hearing the comments of the drivers, and in particular MJ Coupe, who secured the third podium spot with the skin of his teeth. But really interested to hear what Notorious said about that overtake at turn 7 when he double overtook the Boogster and I believe Nick Thompson.
Just misses that. Oh, fair play to the guys here.
Also, for those that are actually watching tonight's race, if there's any questions you want us to pose to the drivers, please get them commented on the stream, and we will ask the drivers once they hopefully join us.
Yeah, I'm just going to invite them in now, Craig. Sorry, I was just watching the podium and then seeing the results and making sure I copied over the penalties and stuff. So,
but also, Mark, there may have to be a steward's review after the race as well. Although the Boogster did secure the race win, he did retire on track in qualifying, and that might actually take the race win away from him. Possibly. So we will investigate that after the race.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it goes on that one, but for now, obviously, that we'll hear the guys coming in now. MJ Coupe has joined the party now, so I'm just waiting for the other guys to join in now, the Boogster, and then hopefully Notorious will join in as well.
Good evening, guys. Just before we begin, can we ask you to check your party settings to ensure that you allow your voice to be shared and that you're actually in the lobby screen on your PlayStation as well, so that we can actually get your voices. So we'll give you a few minutes just to check that. Yep, so if you just stay in the lobby screen on the PlayStation, that you can actually see the custom lobby.
Like a party lobby screen.
Yes. No, actually you actually see the drivers in attendance in the lobby rather than the party lobby. So an absolutely fantastic race, challenging initially from qualifying it being wet, and that allowed most of the drivers to start on the dry compound. We'll start off with the race winner, the Boogster. Absolutely fantastic drive in the Sauber. What are your thoughts at the moment? Not only taking the race win, but also the championship lead for the Drivers' Championship for the Performance League. So share with us what your thoughts are at the moment, the Boogster.
Yeah, that's amazing. To be first in the championship when I have driven the slowest car 2 times, or 2 races, and the McLaren in 1 race. I'm happy with my performance so far.
And what we noticed, that although you didn't have the straight line speed to challenge the Haas of Nick Thompson as you were fighting for P1 and P2 respectively, it looked as if you absolutely pulled off a coup with the undercut, with the pit stop. What was your initial reactions when you came out the pit exit and you actually saw yourself ahead of Nick Thompson?
Yeah, I had to do something because as you said, I couldn't overtake Nick because his straight line speed was so much better. So I had to do something else. And when I saw I was ahead of him after my pit stop, I was so happy because then I knew I was faster than him on track. So it was great to be ahead after the pit stop.
And it looked as if you were fighting, I believe it was Nick Thompson, the run down towards turn 7, with Notorious slightly behind, and you were really trying to squeeze him on the inside. What was your initial thoughts when you saw Notorious go right round the outside at turn 7 and actually overtake the two of you? Did it feel like a disaster at that point, or did it just focus on the job at hand?
No, not at all, because I knew he had to pit again, so it was all fine.
Okay, well, I just want to say congratulations for tonight's race win and taking the lead of the Performance League Drivers' Table. So we move on to Notorious, and I've got to ask, that move in turn 7, that double overtake, was that something you always intended to do, or was that a bit of a last minute decision to go round the outside?
Last minute decision. He done that block against me before I pitted, and I knew he was going to stay out that side. So when I seen the opportunity come up, I said I'd go for it. I was hoping that he'd see me and not take me out.
And in terms of qualifying, it looked as if the track was really drying out at the end of qualifying. And was there any point in qualifying at the end of the session you felt comfortable where you were on track, or did you consider at any point to actually go out on the dry tyres, which we saw paid off for Nick Thompson taking pole?
I was in a bit of a rush when I got back in. I was holding up my teammate and I didn't really see that it was drying up. I was trying to get out as quick as I could, and I didn't even have time to get out. My team were telling me that I didn't have enough time to do the warm-up lap.
And it looks as if after tonight's second place finish that it should actually put you at the top end of the championship table, and we do know that you do have championship credentials in the Formula 2 League, I believe. Do you feel after tonight's second place result could kickstart your season and championship bid for the Performance League?
Yeah, I've been getting a bit more practice in before the races, to be honest, because I haven't been working as much overtime, so I can actually do a bit of practice. So I'm hoping now that I can push forward a bit, given the right car and the right track.
Okay. And certainly being in the Formula 3 League, there's certainly some rivals on track tonight who's also in the same league with you tomorrow, such as Wave Intel, MJ Coupe, Betrayer. Is there anything that you were watching from them tonight that you can actually apply in tomorrow's race in the Formula 3 League?
Not really, no. I was more concentrating on my own, to be honest. I didn't really see what any of them did. I'll have to watch the race back now and then see what happened. Okay. And finally we move on to MJ Coupe, who secured third place. I think by the skin of your teeth there, Mark. I think it was almost a tenth between yourself and Nick Thompson eventually. How does it feel to get on the podium step after quite a difficult start to the season?
Yeah, no, it feels great. Just what I needed, really. A little bit disappointed in the way it went tonight. I thought it could have gone a lot better than that, but really, guess I'm generally really happy.
And the same question for yourself, MJ Coupe, that we posed to Notorious. A couple of rivals in this league that you'll be facing tomorrow in the Formula 3 League. Is there anything that you learned from your own race tonight, but also how others raced, that you could actually take in tomorrow's race to give yourself the best opportunity?
I don't think so, really. I think I'd done quite a lot of preparation before this race came about. I looked into what people were doing, other people were doing, not just in this league but in other leagues. So I don't know really. I feel in the circumstances I probably got the most out of what I could have gotten. Don't really know, what really I could have learned from the other guys really. So no.
Okay. And certainly in the Formula 3 league, you're known as one of the quicker drivers. I think you've actually had one pole position this season so far. And I think it was almost consistency was the thing that was really letting you down. Can you take tonight's experience as a confidence boost to really continue in the remainder of the races, both in the Performance League and the Formula 3 League?
I hope so, yeah. I feel like it's starting to be a little bit of a breakthrough. I think what happened tonight was pretty much the story of my whole racing, is that the penalties and the consistency just lets me down ever so slightly, and a mistake I made in qualifying. So yeah, I'll look at what happened tonight, try and not make the same mistakes tomorrow night. But so yeah, I definitely take some confidence from it, but yeah, always looking to improve.
Alright, thanks very much guys. Just before we let you go, Malcolm, have you got any questions that you want to ask the top 3 drivers after tonight's race?
Just quickly, a few questions actually. Bookster, congratulations on your win tonight. Fantastic drive for the Sauber car. Did you expect it to be a tough battle for first, or did you just hope for the best at a tricky track of Singapore?
No, I thought it was going to be tough. I knew that Notorious was faster, so I had to defend, and the same with Nick. So I didn't expect the win. I didn't even expect the podium. So
you just, okay. You was just trying to see how you get on. It was a tricky track of Singapore and stuff, but fair play. I mean, I can't stop saying it, but fair play to you on that one, because it's a track where you have to be like 110% concentration around the track. But obviously, as Craig said, this will be a massive boost to your title. Do you think you could hold in the standings, or do you think there'll be a few moves, shall we say, of what's the word I'm after? A few shocks.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
If you know what I mean. Do you reckon there'll be a few shocks to try and battle you?
Yeah, I think there will be moves. I don't think I will be able to hold it.
You reckon? Oh, okay. That's the fighting talk. That's the fighting talk that we need on that one. And fair play to you, mate. That was a great drive, and hope you keep going in the championship in the Performance League this season. Notorious. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this one more time, but I won't sing it. This will. There we go. And that's been going throughout the whole, well, not all the stream, don't worry. It was just times where it was just unbelievable moments. And as Craig said, that was a 3 in a bed situation where you go from 4th to 2nd in one go. As Craig said, my mouth's like, it was just like, oh my god, that was unbelievable. Is that the best ever move you ever done, would you say, or do you think?
Definitely one of the best that I can remember anyway. Definitely, yeah. Maybe a couple of years ago, either last season, I think I had 1 or 2 good ones in Texas, but yeah, that's definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say, that was just absolutely fantastic, and I was just like, you did well to like driven in the Red Bull car. Was it Red Bull? Yeah, Red Bull car tonight. But it was just absolutely blistering pace, and I thought, will Notorious try and get that win to boost his confidence for the obviously the title? And it looks like, looks like you've done well. Do you think you've got a chance of getting to like the top 3 of the standings, or do you think it's going to be? I know it's only 3 races in, but what's your predictions of what your expectations are? So.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of fellas out in the pack that have a lot of good pace, and like I said, if you get the right car at the right track, anyone can be up on the podium. Like I got the Red Bull on a good track where you need good downforce, and it paid off for me. the Bookster got a hell of a start. Like he was holding me up in my first stint. I was quicker than him, and it paid off for him.
Yeah. I was expecting the Bookster to say, "Yeah, thanks." That's what I was expecting back on that one.
No,
But,
I knew he was faster.
Yeah,
that start you got when you got up ahead of me into second, it really helped you to get the win.
Yeah, I know.
I was quicker than you. I just couldn't get past you.
You were so much faster than me, so I was lucky.
Yeah, I was doing my best not to damage my wing.
It was just absolutely immense, and I wish you all the very best of luck in the season of the Performance League, and I'm sure you do well. But that was a great drive from you again as well, Notorious. So keep up the good work.
Thanks very much. Sound.
So MJ cooped it. I thought the last podium place on that one. So, was that the best that you could do tonight, or was you gutted that you missed out on second tonight?
Gutted, absolutely gutted, and I know exactly. I knew the penalties I had, so I was just banking that maybe one of the guys behind had a penalty, but they obviously didn't. So, yeah, it was the pit lane. It's just such a tricky pit lane, and I mean, even if I didn't get the pit lane speed, because I had 8 seconds of penalties at the end, so even if I didn't have the 5 seconds, I'm not sure if I'd have quite made second with the 3. But yeah, surely if the penalties had not been there, then I feel I could have probably had second. So yeah, definitely gutted for missing out on that. Yeah, feel like I could have got a bit more out of
that. Okay. I mean, from what I've seen, MJ, you did a fantastic drive. Same for everyone, really, but I bet it was by a tenth. It was by a tenth that you just missed out on second. That's why I was asking, how, do you reckon you could have, kept second, or do you think you would have challenged for first? Because obviously the Bookster was in the Sauber car, and I know you had the Renault car, but I would at least thought you had a bit more oomph, shall we say, with the car.
Yeah, I think in terms of the Bookster, I mean, he's absolutely gained up there tonight, so he's had a great race, and I was watching the gaps, it was staying at about 5 seconds, 4 seconds, and then it crept up to about 6 or 7, so I knew that was out of reach, and it was just a matter of keeping it clean, but I was just watching the gap from behind because I knew the penalties I had. So, but then when I was keeping an eye, I knew Nick, my teammate, was in third, and then I was hoping, because I knew Nick was struggling, so I was hoping if he kept the guys behind, then the second place was nailed on. But then when I saw all of a sudden Notorious appear up in third, then he just caught me so quickly. I couldn't do anything really. Just the fresh tyres made the difference. So there's no way I was going to keep him. If I didn't have the penalties, then I don't think he would have got past me. But because of the penalties, then yeah, it was pretty much no chance. So yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you guys have done a magnificent drive, but like I said, I wish you all the very best of luck in the season for the Performance League, and I'm hoping there'll be some more bonsai / 2 in the bed / 3 in the bed situations on that one. That's all I ask. I don't ask for any more. And that one, that's it. That's all I ask. I don't ask for any more. And I keep saying I'll need the win for the no assist or whatever, every time, but it doesn't work. But that's what I try on that one. But I wish you all the very best. And Craig, have you got any more final questions for the guys, or have you?
No, I just want to say congratulations, guys. Good luck as we go towards the European leg of the season, towards Monza. I'm sure you will all be hoping for a Mercedes-powered car, but certainly looking for some more exciting racing from you guys. Good luck for the rest of the season, and hopefully we might be speaking with some of you again next week. But also for those that are racing tomorrow, good luck tomorrow evening in the Formula 3 League and the Bookster on Friday, wherever you may be racing as well. So thanks, guys, and we'll bring the stream up to a wrap. Again, thanks to everyone who joined us for tonight's race, and those that posted comments and opinions. Thank you again. We certainly hope that you enjoyed the 31 lap race in Singapore, and we hope that you join us next week for the Italian Grand Prix at the Theatre of Speed that is Monza. Certainly a fan favourite due to the history and spectacular racing. So thanks everybody, and we hope you enjoy tonight's race. But as always, good night from myself, and for you, Malk, you've always got to finish on a high. Stay classy.